1,538 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss. You heard that right. And it was a code red, so it was internal. And we have confirmation on that. It's internal, it's a code red, and it's not just one confirmation. It's corroborating evidence. It's very clear that Richard was ordered to be murdered. And in the next few days, you're going to hear more about that. So please stay tuned. Let me make sure that I'm on because it's so important. Everything is kind of coming together. Like I said a few weeks ago, Richard's case is broken, right? We've broken it. And we're just trying to make sure that we can give the information so that people can understand it because it is pretty uh, it has many facets, right? Richard's case has many facets, but once you understand, and that's why we're doing these music videos, to help people understand what's going on because it's very important to our national security. We've been betrayed and we're at a threat. And Richard's case shows this threat because of why he was ordered to be murdered and why we can't get his remains. And of course, we got the declaration of death because there was no other there was no other thing they could do. They had the evidence was so overwhelming that they had to give the declaration of death. But the manipulation, the trying to frame the narrative and manipulate the narrative and falsify the narrative was still out there. And that was done largely by Bob Moore. Bob Moore is the one that framed and manipulated and put out a false narrative about our son Richard Halliday, and also um, really uh, violating our rights, violating the law while doing it. So I see that I'm on. That's good. I can get any questions that you might have. And one of those questions might be about who is Bob Moore. Well, Bob Moore, they have it out there, this false narrative that he is an award-winning journalist, and you can say, "Oh, is he an award-winning journalist?" Yeah, I guess he is, but I don't trust how that happened. Okay, I don't trust because he's very unethical, and and he used Leilani Hart. When you learn about her, will be well, we're working on putting some things together so people will understand who Leilani Hart is because she's a confirmed convicted criminal. And people need to understand what she confessed to, what that meant about her family, and how that is connected to uh, Richard's case and Richard's murder and to Bob Moore. And why would Bob Moore use a prime suspect in the case of a murdered Fort Bliss whistleblower soldier, Richard Halliday? Use the prime suspect. Think about this. Use the prime suspect in the case as a source to obstruct the case. And I'll say that again. Why would Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, owned by El Paso Community Foundation, use Leilani Hart as a source when she's a confirmed convicted criminal and confessed to the most egregious crimes that also implicate her family, and knowing that she is a prime suspect in the case, and for that very same case, use her as a source to obstruct the case, to interfere with the case. So she is the prime suspect in Richard Halliday's case. And Bob Moore set out to obstruct and interfere with the investigation of Richard Halliday's case using the prime suspect, Leilani Hart. Now, if that's not a wowzer, if that's not a huge, huge media story, if that, I mean, tell me any other case that is like this. It's amazing. And that's exactly what has happened. And it implicates Bob Moore of El Paso Matters and El Paso Community Foundation, who was under investigation by the administration of Yvonne Rosales, the district attorney that Bob Moore and Bill Hicks collaborated and conspired to remove and to replace in order to control the prosecutor who can investigate, whose duty it is to identify crime, whose duty it is to identify crime, document crime, and prosecute crime. So why would Bob Moore collude and conspire, scheme, I think scheme is a good word, scheme with Bill Hicks, Justin Underwood, to remove and replace a duly elected, so this is an assault on El Pasoans because it's messing with your vote. They want to disregard your vote, and they collude and scheme to remove and replace who you've chosen to be the duly elected district attorney. And I didn't say that so eloquently, but I hope you understand that Bill Hicks and Bob Moore are implicated in Richard's case. They are part of Richard's case. Now, why would they be part? Why do they want to do that? Why do they want to obstruct justice in Richard's case? And when did they obstruct justice? And how did they obstruct justice? And why did they want to shut Richard up so bad that they were willing to go along with a code red? Because they had their part to play in it. Why would they go along with it? And that's because Richard was exposing, had information on the criminal trafficking, which includes the child sex trafficking, which includes the weapons trafficking, which includes the ammunition trafficking, which includes the drug trafficking. It's criminal trafficking is just absolutely the right way to say this. And the fraud, the waste, and the abuse to go with it, the theft, connecting it to Fort Bliss, and we have confirmation that he also had information that was connecting the Walmart mass shooting to Fort Bliss. There's motive there. There's your motive there to have him murdered as a code red, premeditatedly ordered on Fort Bliss, and then have that covered up by Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, of El Paso Community Foundation, and Bill Hicks. So, and let's focus on Bob Moore, the media. Absolutely, we've tried more than 15 times to connect with him. He'll come on a live stream to watch it. And today, he is really our focus. I mean, today was wild. We, of course, we've been focused on Todd Howell, right? Uh, who was directing. My husband was giving me his total title, but he's like in charge of the CID cold case, violent crime unit, the violent murder, the death and the cold case violent crime unit up in Quantico, Virginia. And that is I'll have to circle back to that one. But he's up to no good. He is up to um, betrayal. He is betrayal. If you look, look up the word in the dictionary betrayal, you see a lot of generals' faces and you see Todd Howell's name, Todd Howell's picture. Um, so it's, uh, and we did follow through with identifying the crime, documenting the crime, and filing the crimes, filing the unlawful conduct, quote unquote, the unlawful conduct that should have them in handcuffs. They need to be arrested. They need to be held accountable for the damage that they have done to Richard, to uh, our witnesses and whistleblower, and to our family, and also to the national security of this country. And that's why we um, are notifying all the people, letting everyone know through, thank God we have the whole social media. And I think that's why they want to clamp down on social media. Well, they already did. And of course, we're being shadow banned. And that's why we're very grateful for you to share and let everyone know about this case because it's so important. And we have breaking news. We were contacted today in written form by a federal agency that and signed that Bob Moore is, well, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. They're looking into Bob Moore. And, you know, he's been up to no good because he wants his cake and eat it too. He wants to be a political attack dog, but yet do it on the taxpayer's dime, do it on not having to even be a taxpayer. He wants the 501c3. He wants all the benefits of being neutral without being neutral. He wants all the benefits of an ordered society but being a criminal. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that you can have your cake and eat it too. And so Bob Moore is absolutely implicated in many violations, um, unlawful conduct, unethical conduct, and participating with a criminal group from the original response team that harassed us continually, even threatened us, sent us all kinds of vile and vulgar messages. I mean, really, this is a sex cult group. This is a sex cult group. They have no bottom. Um, and so this becomes like a cult. This becomes a religion, um, and not a good one. And that's why you see so much tampering in the case and so much theft. Because that's what these cults do. They tamper and they steal. And they accuse everybody of everything, right? They accuse and accuse and accuse and judge and judge and judge, and yet they are the worst. They are the worst. And if you have any doubt why Richard was code red murdered, it's because he was exposing their criminal network. And that criminal network is just that. It is a web. It is a network. Um, you have to do a lot to do the criminal trafficking, right? You have to have all of your contacts, and you also have to have a way to launder the money. You've got to clean the money up that you make. And then you have to have a goal in mind what you're going to spend the money on, because there's only so many Lamborghinis, right? If you want that, um, they have other purposes what they want to spend the money on, and so it's been a very interesting trail to pick up the crumbs and piece them together. Remember, this is Operation Hansel and Gretel. You have Team Find Richard Halliday out there constantly giving us crumbs, constantly giving us the pieces of this entire criminal network and who is behind the murder of our son. And the crumbs, the puzzle pieces, when you put it together, um, the prime suspects are Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader, which we have it on record that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. And also Leilani Hart being a prime suspect, and also Tavita Nusa, the CID agent there at Fort Bliss, who lost his badge. And, we have corroborating evidence that he lost it for instability. He was unstable in December of 2020. Well, when you participate in the murder of a young, beautiful man that volunteers for the military and is distinguished honor graduate, and you participate in the murder of a whistleblower, something happens. It's not too good. You can never be the same again. And Tavita Nusa, it's interesting. He became unstable. He became unstable, and they had to remove his badge. So they say that's the reason. And that is what I'm hearing about Bob Moore, that he's becoming unstable. Because when you're up to no good, it's a poison. You're polluting yourself. It is it really is toxic. And, um, so you can just see it. We have been keeping all the pictures of everyone, and you can absolutely see it. It's like going back and looking at the Roman Empire. The worse they got, the worse they got as far as economics, as far as their morality, as far as their leadership. Their leadership became unstable, and you can tell in their faces. And that's why when we launched, um, and it's just a remarkable when we launched the next phase, because not because we launched it, but because it's here. And that is the wave of accountability. When the wave of accountability, when those floodgates opened, like today again, federal agencies, in written form, uh, we received it again, a notification that there are active and ongoing investigations against Bob Moore, into Bob Moore. And we we contributed to the floodgates opening against Todd Howell right now for ongoing and active investigations. And so when those floodgates opened, um, that morning, it was a Sunday, and it was St. Michael and All the Angels Day. And our sermon was about St. Michael destroying the devil. And the devil had this face that was all contorted, right? Um, unstable, unstable. And St. Michael had a face of peace, a real beautiful face of peace. And that was the sermon was about that, and it was really amazing, and it really prepared for this wave of accountability. Because as the floodgates open, and we can take credit for the floodgates opening because we have been pouring buckets and buckets of water um, at this, and those buckets of water are, we file, and we really don't care what they come back to us about, um, totally, right? We want to put it in writing. We want to file their unlawful conduct. We want to write it up, right? We want to keep a journal, and we want to keep that journal in all the agency's books. We don't want to be alone with our journal. We want to share the journal. And so we have filed tho- those criminal complaints, the notices, uh, the evidence, the irregularities, the circumstantial evidence, um, the findings of all of our FOIAs. We wanted to file with all the different agencies and learn the agencies, because really when Richard went missing, we didn't know. We didn't know the agencies. We didn't know really how all this worked. We just had faith that they would do their job, and we were wrong to have faith in them. We only should have faith in Jesus Christ, right? God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost. But not in these agencies and their leaders and the generals. They all need oversight, and that's why we have been documenting and documenting and documenting and exposing that a lot of these offices are given to people, put in the wrong hands, that the responsibilities are put in the wrong hands. And it looks like FEMA is like that right now, right? We're all looking at Milton. I believe that's the category 5 the last time I saw it. It was category 5, then went to category 4 hurricane, then it went back up to category 5 hurricane. And of course, it's going to hit hard in the Tampa, Bradenton, Sarasota area down through Cape Coral. And that area right there is supposed to get waves, water levels higher, as high as 10 to 15 feet above the normal. That's a two-story building, right? If it's 15 feet, that's like a two-story building. Not quite, but almost. Almost. That's some high water there. And and what about the rain? This is what North Carolina has seen, the rain. And this is a good analogy for um, these floodgates. They have, you know, it's coming at you, and you can't stop it. You can prepare. You can go and put your hurricane shutters up. You can go get gas if you can get gas. You can get water. You can get some food. You can get your generator. You can prepare. And we know that the likes of Bob Moore, the likes of this criminal group, they have their resources. They are preparing. Um, and so we keep on filing. We keep on pouring the water. And I hope this doesn't sound like I'm on the wrong side. But the storm is here against the sex cultists. The sex cultists that are absolutely criminal and running a criminal network. And you see that with Diddy, right? Sean Combs, uh, what is his name? P. Diddy. You see that with him. People are so afraid. He's got all these videos. They videotape all their sex cult activities, their white parties, whatever. And that keeps everyone in check, right? That's how they keep them in check. And um, what's going on Fort Bliss is not too different, but then they also have a lot of money that they can share, and it's not their own money. It's called the taxpayers' money through benefits, through different filings to get benefits and things like that. And then then when you really um, need it for the veterans, when you need it for the war, when you need it, it's not there. Where is the ammunition? Where is the weapons? Where is the equipment? Where are the parts? Where are the benefits? Look at FEMA. But there's this big debate right now that they were using it um, to manipulate the votes, right? Manipulate the politics, manipulate um, so many things in politics that you need votes for. And they're using money to manipulate that. And I don't want to say buy votes, maybe, I don't know. But at least control a certain population, and then when a big storm happens, you know, what's going on? Um, they're not prepared. The power of FEMA is in the wrong hands. Someone that is not capable, someone that does not have the know-how, that is not qualified. And you see that with Todd Howell. You see that with the generals. They're not qualified. They've betrayed us. And when you have generals, so many generals that have betrayed, not just one or two, so many. You're talking about Mealy, McConville, Sean Bernabe, Clem Coward, Taylor, this new Major General Taylor, um, Brigadier General Stewart, um, Major General Eisenhower. I mean, you have a lot of these generals that are unqualified because they became a turncoat very easily. That means they're not qualified. You can't have wishy-washy people that don't love the country, that don't know how to protect the Constitution, that don't know what the Constitution is all about, um, that don't have the, because you have to have faith to be a good general. And these are wishy-washy people. They can sell out and serve foreign and domestic enemies very easily, even during peacetime. And so the Senate Arms Committee has put in these leaders. That makes them responsible for the decisions that they made to put these losers, these unqualified, um, treasonous individuals in powers and in positions of great power over the lives of so many. You can't put people, this kind of power in the wrong hands. And with that, it needs a lot of oversight. And that's why you have the votes of the people. That's the best oversight. 100%, that's the best oversight. And they took that away from the El Pasoans in the district attorney's office and also in the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court. They took the oversight away by taking away the voting rights of the people. And if you're just now tuning in, Bill Hicks is a usurper who, with Bob Moore and Justin Underwood, schemed to remove and replace a duly elected district attorney, Yvonne Rosales. And since 2015, the El Paso Law Magistrate Court has been acting illegally, not because the court is illegal. The court is a distinct court with full countywide jurisdiction. A very powerful court. Handles about 90% of all the cases in El Paso that are criminal cases. And that's why all the judges that sit on that court must be elected according to the Texas Constitution. Not me, according to the Texas Constitution. Because they need oversight, because that's a very distinct and uh, powerful court, because they control the investigations. They controlled Richard's investigation. That's why Penny Hamilton, as a impersonator on that court, name popped up in Richard's case. Because what, 70, 80 subpoenas and warrants in Richard's case? So, those that court controls the investigations, and that's why if there's a judge on that court, they need to be elected. There's not one of them that's elected. They're all appointed, and that is illegal, unlawful, and took away the voting rights of the people of El Paso. And so that's a huge story that's not being reported, and it's huge. And we don't get too upset. We keep telling people and keep telling people, and we've notified all of the major media in the area to let them know what's going on so that they can wrap their heads around it, because it does take, a little bit to understand the implications of thousands of cases now that have been botched, which includes Patrick Crusius's case, and of course Richard's, because Richard was brought before that case unlawfully and unlawfully put in jail. And why was that? Because he was retaliated against. They were trying to discredit him as a whistleblower. They were so afraid of the people finding out about their criminal trafficking, about the connection between the Walmart mass shooting case and Fort Bliss. And there is. And that's why they tried to discredit him, but then, it didn't stick, and it all was dismissed and all of that, and Yvonne Rosales won the election, the runoff election. And so they ordered Richard to be murdered. To protect their criminal network, to protect and cover to keep the crime from being exposed. And Bob Moore played a part in that cover-up, a huge part. And now today, it's really like a little Christmas in October, that the federal agency, and I can't tell you who it is, you could probably guess. Let's leave it a little bit of a mystery so that they can do their work of investigating Bob Moore and his unlawful conduct and unethical conduct. And with Bill Hicks and Bob Moore, it would be a sweet day to see them be handcuffed and put in a paddy wagon and see their mugshot face. And I know you're thinking, oh my goodness, oh yeah. Think about what they did to Richard. Think about what they've done to witness as a whistleblower and our family. And okay, if that doesn't matter to you, what they've done to you, framing and falsifying narratives, the truth, to give you lies, to control your brain, to control your thinking, in order to control El Paso, to profit off of crime, to steal, to rob. From who? From you. They are absolutely criminals. Absolutely criminals. And they are a national security threat because our military needs oversight, because our generals have been, well, the power of the stars and the uniforms have been placed in the wrong hands and placed on the wrong chests. They are betrayers. Like Bill Hicks is a usurper, they are betrayers. And we need the media, and in this case, the social media is doing the job to do the oversight because they've taken away the election rights of the people of El Paso. You think that, there's all this talk that, oh, all these people coming in, they're going to take away the voting rights, or they're going to be voting and they're going to tamper with the votes, or at least at least have influence over the politics and the vote and the election. Oh, y'all, they've already done it. They've already done it with the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court since 2015. They have disregarded your right to vote and to elect those that control investigations, can take children away, can order you to take medication, can put you in jail, and more, to arraign you. Yeah, it's it's huge. And of course, you have the illegal chief medical examiner that they had to corrupt that position and put that position in the wrong hands because that's a judicial officer also, a very important one that testifies in court to the cause and manner of death in these capital murder cases. And that's why his name came up in our son's case. And when we asked who he was, and we found out that he's chief medical examiner and also has his hand in Chihuahua, Mexico, where that's where his name came up in our son's case, since Nadal Baim said that the FBI had found Richard's remains in Mexico. And now we know that these are partial remains, right? That Richard was dismembered and found in several locations. And we want his remains. So, and yeah, I've been doing this for so long, but that never gets easy. And I'm in a pretty good mood, and it still doesn't get me. It just makes you. It just tears you up. You just. I have to think about that beautiful written letter today, where Bob Moore is under the microscope. I have to think about that. And I'm so glad that the floodgates are opening. And with that comes the wave of accountability. So we're doing all the work possibly that we can do um, to keep those floodgates open and get the accountability for the sake of our national security, for the sake of so many other soldiers, service members, the community, all the people, and even the people that extends outside this jurisdiction that are absolutely affected and into Mexico. Look at the one mayor in Mexico that was beheaded just this week. It is brutal over there, and we need to pray for them. And there's a saying in Ireland, and of course, I lived in Ireland. Richard, you know, when he became distinguished honor graduate for basic training, they introduced him as Richard Halliday from Longford, Ireland. And there's a saying that when America hiccups or sneezes, Ireland gets pneumonia, right? So this is how I feel about Juarez, Mexico. We have a responsibility to our neighbors. We are a huge economic power, and we have obligations to our own people. Um, but we have to also understand that being good to our own people and keeping our economics, um, you know, chugging along, growing, is also a blessing and a benefit to our neighbors. So remember iPencil, right? iPencil. Um, it takes a lot to make a pencil. And if you haven't watched that video, absolutely watch that video. It is like one of the best economic videos. There's several for homeschooling, but that's one that I really recommend. It is a wonderful um, economic video. So, yeah, so if you're in Florida, I hope that you evacuated. Um, you know, uh, if not, I hope that we're praying for you. Keep safe. And if you're Bob Moore, look, you're under the microscope now. I mean, there is active and ongoing investigations because of your unlawful actions. And if you're Todd Howell, um, yeah, that it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad there too. So the next few days, it's I've been wanting to do this today, or I wanted to do it yesterday, but I think yeah, we've got it almost all ready, and the weather's slowed us down a little bit. Um, being without electricity for a while and stuff like that. But no, we're ready, and everything is in God's timing. And this was a little Christmas today in October. So thank you so much. I put out my Noah's Ark. Every October I put out Noah's Ark, which is interesting too, isn't it? We're in the wave of accountability, and I put out the Noah's Ark because of All Saints Day coming up, All Hallows Eve coming up, and of course All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day is really the whole celebration and remembering of what happened with Noah's flood, right? And that's so interesting with this wave of accountability, with all this water, with all this water. It's yeah. I'm gonna have to think about that. Also, Please share those music videos, and I made another one, and I'll be putting that one out too shortly. And and just to let you know, that one's about our whistleblower. All right, everyone. God bless you, and we will be back tomorrow, God willing.